Right now, you can buy a Ferrari for less than the price of a new Range Rover, and it's going up in value, not down. But that same Ferrari has a hidden repair bill that's gonna cost you 10 grand if you're not careful. And the seller is praying that you don't know how to check for it, or they simply don't know it exists. Either way, you need to be careful. Now, there are two similar traps on the other two cars I'm about to show you. The three cars I'm gonna show you today are all under $100,000. All of them have shown significant appreciation within the last 5 years, and the reason why these are so special is because most under 100k videos usually tell you this car has this engine, it's naturally aspirated, it was the last generation to have this and that. I don't care. I only look at the price data. After that, I can look at the actual reasons that caused the price to go up. But what actually matters is how the market is responding to these cars. And that's what I'm going to show you. First up, we have the Ferrari 360 Modena F1. Now, you may tell me, oh, this is not a manual. A manual is 150 grand. Let's focus on this F1. This is the cheapest way into a V8 Ferrari. Right now, it's at an average of $84,000. Very cheap. Now, this is a Ferrari. All the power, all the drive, the oomph, it's all in this car. Let me show you the graph. So I'm on classic.com. I recommend you use that website if you're looking at any collector cars. Right now, it's trading for around $80,000. And if we go back just 4 years, right? 4 years, they go by like that, quickly. It was trading for around $70,000. So that's 10 grand right there. And classic.com is expecting it to go higher. And if you take this back even further, you can see that, 2013, it was 57 grand. There's not much data in that time period, so I wouldn't be too sure. But we do have lots of data in the 2022 and 2026 region, and it's very clear it was trading for around 70k. You can get it today for around 80k. Now, this 84k number is not set in stone. You can find examples more expensive and cheaper. But why is there this difference in price? I'm going to show you now. Now, obviously, you have the mileage, the car's condition, any wear and tear, any scratches. Everyone knows this. But here are some things that are specific to this car that you need to check before you buy it. First up, this is so obvious. Get a Ferrari specialist to do a pre-purchase inspection. This is non-negotiable. If you don't do it, you're committing financial suicide. Now, Ferraris are the type of cars that need maintenance, they need to be babied, and they want attention, they want care. This is why service histories are of utmost importance on these cars. Make sure there's a clear service history, a consistent one. If there's a gap in the service history, this drops the price significantly. Now, here's the thing that costs people a lot of money. The sellers that are selling these cars know that if they have a gap in the service history, it's going to lower the price. So what they do is something very, very sneaky. They fake the service history. You can actually order these Ferrari service history logbooks online now on eBay, and some people forge them. And if you're about to buy a Ferrari and you see this red, beautiful service book, you may think that it's real, but it's actually been forged. Make sure you're looking at the real deal. If you don't know how to differentiate between a fake service history book and a real service history book, this is exactly what I teach inside of my playbook. Go check it out. It also teaches you a couple of other things that you need to check on any car. The next thing you need to check on this car is the F1 clutch and the hydraulics. Now, this isn't an automatic car by the traditional means, it's just a manual car with the computer that does the shifting for you, and this poses a big problem. The F1 clutch and the hydraulics. To keep it simple for you, if the driver that's been driving this car was aggressive in his driving style, stopped at a traffic sign and then just floored the pedal, this wears out the clutch. Now, what happens when the clutch and the hydraulics are not up to par? First off, the clutch is going to cost you around $5,000 to $8,000 to replace, and the hydraulics are going to cost you another couple grand. So that's $10,000 right there, just because you didn't know that the F1 clutch and the hydraulics are something that failed regularly on the 360 Modena F1. Now, here's a detour from the video. Everyone knows manual cars are worth more. If you use the 100 grand that you have right now in 2021, you could have bought the 360 Modena manual for around, 79, 80 grand. And today it would be worth 150 grand. Okay, that's a big jump, that's almost double. This just goes to show that if you follow the advice that I'm telling you, if you follow the rules that I teach, you can see massive appreciation on these cars while driving them. Obviously, you missed this opportunity in 2021, but there are more opportunities. Every year, the market gives you opportunities. You just need to have the will to take them. Now, next up, we have the Porsche 996.1 GT3. Only 1,868 of these cars were built. And if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know that scarcity is one of the main value multipliers or drivers on any of these collector cars. So this is a very strong signal already. Right now, it's trading for around $95,000, $96,000. And the reason this car is so special is because, first off, all of the units out there are manual. There isn't an automatic GT3. Another value driver. It's rear-wheel drive, and if you don't know why rear-wheel drive commands higher prices, I've outlined it in previous videos, but to keep it very brief, whenever you have a rear-wheel drive, it feels like you're being pushed around, like you're in a rocket ship, right? It's a better driver's experience. Compare that to the all-wheel drive, which feels like you're on train tracks, and it's just not as fun, not as exciting. Again, driving experience, another value driver. Now, if we look at the graph for this car, the GT3, the 996.1, in 2022, it was for $66,000. Call it 70 grand. Today, the average is around $96,000. So 70 grand to 100 grand, that's 30, around 40% appreciation in the last 4 years alone. That's 10% a year on an asset that people call a depreciating asset. It's clearly not depreciating to me. Now, don't just go and buy any GT3 from the 996.1 generation. Don't do that. Something very important that you need to know is that the coolant pipes were actually glued on in this car. They weren't bolted, they weren't welded like the generations that came after. And the reason this is important because when the car heats up, which is normal for any car, this glue can actually melt, it can deteriorate, and the coolant pipes get unlocked from their place. And the reason this is a big problem is then the coolant starts to flow on the rear tires. And if you're driving this car at high speeds, if you're on the track, this will put you in a wall, you're going to crash, it's going to be a terrible accident. So what I want you to do is to ask the seller if the coolant pipes have been welded or if they have been bolted on, if they've been pinned down by a specialist, okay? Because it wasn't done by Porsche. Now, another important thing to know is the over-rev history. What does this mean? Let's say someone's driving this car at a high speed and they're at the 5th gear, and then accidentally they drop from the 5th gear to the 2nd gear instead of the 4th gear. This causes the engine to spin uncontrollably, violently, and it causes the actual gears to kind of bend a little. And this is not something you see immediately. You may only see this after driving the car 10,000 miles after you bought it. This is a big problem for the engine and it's going to cost you quite a lump sum of money. So make sure before you buy, you get an over-rev history done. This is very simple. Just take it to any Porsche specialist. They can do it in 5 minutes. Now recap. If you ask the seller if the coolant pipes have been pinned down or not and they don't know the answer, they either don't know, which shows they didn't really care about that car, bad sign, but not a deal breaker, or they know that it hasn't been pinned and they just didn't want to tell you. Again, negotiate, not a deal breaker. Also, if you ask them about the over-rev history report before you actually go inspect the car and they don't know what that means, they either genuinely don't know what that means and that's fine, or they know what it means and they know that they've over-revved the car and it's in a bad state and it's gonna cost quite some money to fix. Now, these are just 2 of the things that you need to check. There are about 7 or 8 other things that you need to check. They're all outlined in the playbook. Next up, we have a beautiful car, the ZR1. Okay, this is an American car, not something I usually cover on this channel, but it's a powerful one. Now, the main thing that made this car special compared to all the other Corvettes is that it has a supercharger. If you don't know what the difference is between a turbocharger and a supercharger, put simply, supercharger is more powerful and you see an instant bump in power because it uses the engine's power to actually draw in air, and the turbochargers use the gas exhaust, which takes a little delay. Now, this car is currently trading at around $98,000. And if we take a look at classic.com, you can see in 2022, it was for around $80,000. So a nice, 15 grand appreciation, 15 to 20 grand appreciation right there in the last 4 years. This car has 3 main things that you need to check before you buy one, and these things will cost you if you don't know how to check them. First thing is the carbon ceramic brakes. Okay, normal brakes, you can usually see the wear on the outside. You can see a thickness and any mechanic can tell you the condition of these brakes in 10 seconds. But carbon ceramic brakes wear in a different way. And the only way to know for sure the condition of these brakes is to put them on a scale. So what you need to do is ask a mechanic to unmount or unscrew these brakes from the car and put them on a scale. If they are below a certain weight, I'm not going to go into details now, this means that they need to be replaced fairly soon or you're going to crash. It's not going to be safe to drive the car. And this costs money, around 15 to 20 grand. That's like 20% of the car's value. So make sure you check it, don't get burned. The next thing you need to know is that many of these ZR1s have been modified aftermarket. And the stock ones, the ones that haven't been modified, are valued at a higher price. So make sure the car you're looking at hasn't been modified. Now, remember when I told you the thing that makes this car special is the supercharger? Well, that supercharger can fail. It has certain components inside, I'm not going to go into details, that can fail, and that's going to cost you $10,000 to replace. So make sure you get the supercharger inspected before you buy. Now, no matter which one of these cars you actually decide on buying, there are 3 rules that you need to abide by. First one, make sure the car you're looking at is the spec that the market actually wants. These cars vary a lot by different things like the interior, the outside color, and many other things. For example, the 360 Modena, certain years have been recalled because there was a problem in the car. And if you're looking at a car that was meant to be recalled but it didn't actually go back, you can be looking at a landmine. So make sure the spec you're looking at is the right one. That's the first thing. Second up, and this is something I recommend to all my clients, make the seller send you a diagnostic report before you actually go see the car. This is going to save you a lot of time and headaches. And lastly, if there isn't a verified service history, you can either walk away or you can renegotiate. If you're still starting out and you don't want to take many risks, I recommend just walking away. If you have a greater appetite for risk, let's say, then you can use that as a negotiation point and bump down the price by 10, 20 grand. Another thing I want you to keep in mind is that all the prices I've outlined today are the average of what these cars cost. But you can probably get some of these cars for a lower price. Some of the sellers don't know what their car is worth, but now you know what actually moves the price on these cars, so you're gonna be one step ahead. This is exactly what I help people with before they buy. I help them through the entire process so that they can know for sure, for certain, the car they're buying is not gonna give them headaches, it's not gonna cost them money over the next couple of years, and it's gonna probably make them money after 5, 6 years. I really wanna hear from you guys, which one of these 3 would you buy? And if you found one, a specific example, a specific listing that you really want and you're thinking about buying, DM me on Instagram, the listing details. I'll have a look and tell you what I personally think.